What up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Fast and Tierious, where we explore the journeys of HubSpot partners, how they tiered and how they're scaling the HubSpot ecosystem. Today, I am joined by Logan Armstrong, the founder and CEO of Empty Cup. They just tiered to platinum. It took 15 months to gold and 3 months to platinum. And this is one of, I'm happy to highlight, one of very high touch technical consultants in the ecosystem that if you didn't know about, you should know about. Logan, welcome to Fast and Tierious.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. Excited to get into it.
Well, Logan is okay. Everybody has interesting paths to becoming a HubSpot admin, and I find even more interesting paths often to starting a HubSpot consultant. What made you burn the ships, if you would, and start a business dedicated to helping people do HubSpot better?
Yeah, so it's been somewhat of a longer journey. I was at a HubSpot partner agency, a smaller one. They did things other than HubSpot. They weren't solely dedicated to HubSpot. It was a digital marketing PR agency that just also happened to be a HubSpot partner. But I was kind of the person that was leading up the HubSpot efforts, and that started prior to COVID. COVID hit. It took a toll, on a lot of small businesses, and for me personally, just didn't really see kind of the path forward for me there. So I decided to leave there, start doing my own thing, kind of figured out my way, right? Started doing some freelancing. If it wasn't for Upwork, I probably would not be here today, right? So that was really like a seminal moment for that. But started freelancing on Upwork, and it was like, hey, there's a lot of demand for this. These are some things that I'm good at. That I have HubSpot experience. Obviously, there's more to learn, but decided to kind of just go all in on that. After kind of testing the waters with freelancing, started getting some clientele built up, became a provider. The math started to work out. I was like, well, I probably should just become a partner at this point, right? Working with clients, asking about, hey, how do we do this? How do we do that? Things that were in the HubSpot ecosystem, but they just needed to get on some other HubSpot products anyways, and thought, well, I might as well become a partner so we can, provide more benefits to them, things like waiving onboarding, those types of things, right? And so kind of just grew it from there, dug into it, really carved out a niche of, hey, we are not a marketing agency. We don't do any marketing, any content, any copy, anything like that. But to me, the operational side of things, the back end of things is like, solving puzzles and solving problems all day, every day. And that's something that I enjoy doing. And so kind of just went from there, started building up a client base and kind of figuring out, what that niche would be, and still figuring it out sometimes, right? But then, here we are.
So a lot of HubSpot journeys have started with COVID. So you started, when did you officially become a partner? When was the date from?
It was October of 2022.
Okay, October 2022. Now we're sitting in April of 2024. And you've been a year and a half. I'm not around there, year
Something
and a half
like that, yeah.
of being a partner. I think specifically it's 17 months. I can't do math well, but I think 17 months. And so you've been in the slog, and before that you're doing freelancing, which is on Upwork, which
Right.
I think is cool. Do you still, just a question, as you're thinking about how you're getting revenue, are you still getting clients from Upwork? Or is that yes, no?
Not anymore, but I was for a while. I would say maybe the first 8 months or so of even after becoming a partner, the volume waned, it went down, but if the right opportunity came across, there were still some opportunities. As of now, though, no, haven't got anything out of Upwork in quite some time.
Okay, so where you're at now? So you hit gold in 15 months, platinum in 3 months thereafter. So a total 18 months, right? You've been able to tier to platinum. Where are you at now with how are you thinking about employees? How many employees do you have, relative revenue, and what are your goals you're trying to achieve in 2024? Do you want to end the year as diamond? What are you attempting to achieve?
Yeah, so we're small. We're a small company, and it's all been kind of bootstrapped, and I'm not that old myself, so I haven't had time to acquire all that much wealth to be able to kind of flush into this company. But so right now, I'm super excited. We just made our first other full-time hire this week or last week. Yeah, so
That's
very excited about that. Up until this point, it's been myself and a team of pretty consistent contractors, but not not full time. So it's been myself and kind of a roster of contractors that help us in separate areas. Have one person that helps us a lot with front end stuff. Have one person that helps us a lot with back end stuff. Have actual HubSpot kind of native HubSpot tools. But so we're pretty small. Like last year, we not that much. Did just over like 110, 115 in revenue. So nothing like crazy, right? We're not a seven-figure company yet. But we're looking to get there. So goals for this year are to kind of, I think at this point, knock on wood, we've started to hit that exponential growth curve where I think I've started to figure some things out in terms of niche and market and pricing and all those sorts of things. So I think we're kind of on that upward curve. Goals for this year is 200 and then kind of just grow from there. But yeah, very excited that I'm finally getting some full-time help on having them start next month. But that's where we're at right now.
Congrats. I think you will. This will be for better or worse. Hopefully for better. This will be something you always remember: is growing from 1 to 2.
Right.
A good 1 plus 1 does not equal 2. It equals 3. So just congratulations on that. I think it's pretty incredible you got to platinum with only one person, or like and plus help. Just
right.
Congrats on that in general.
Thanks.
What you guys? So there's challenges faced to do that. I think one of the challenges that is I'm thinking about it is how did you manage sales, delivery, managing a team of contractors? Like what were the initial challenges faced? You think about what your top 3, and I'm going to add a fourth. If you don't add it, it's about what's your tech look like. What does your tech look like to manage and execute that? You have to be wildly efficient. So I'm just interested.
Yeah, wildly efficient or just wildly overworked. One of the two.
Yeah.
Right. But
both, right? Both.
yeah, maybe a little
Okay.
bit of both. So there were a couple things that I faced. One, I think my biggest strength is just like, I'm just in HubSpot basically all day, every day, right? So you start to see the same problems, and you start to be able to solve them much faster than you did the first time, right? Just like anything, practice makes perfect. So I think that's one of the reasons why it was kind of a slower curve to start out. But learning these things, right? I don't know if anybody on earth knows everything there is to know about HubSpot, just because there are so many facets, so many nooks and crannies inside of it. So building up that expertise was certainly helpful there. But really just being in it every day. My tech stack for a while was Logan's Brain, Apple Notes, and Gmail. So we've since moved to Asana, which has been very helpful, just kind of in laying everything out and making sure that nothing's slipping through the cracks, especially as the client base has expanded and deliverables have expanded and kind of just project complexities in general. But yeah, really just kind of being in HubSpot all the time, knowing how to do things quickly and efficiently, like I said, seeing the same problems over and over has been very helpful. But there are certainly times as well that's it's just putting in the hours and working whatever it is, nights, weekends, to just make sure that we're still providing stellar client service. I say things in terms of a business perspective, right? The one thing I like less than turning down revenue is providing less than stellar client service. So just trying to figure out how to balance those things, and not just turn things away because of capacity, but unfortunately sometimes needing to. It's been a process, but now with kind of project management and kind of just figuring out, okay, how does this work best? Just making sure everything's noted down, and like you said, kind of a mix between being efficient in HubSpot and being working some long hours. It's worked until this point, but we've hired somebody because not even from a work volume standpoint, from like a cognitive load standpoint, it's tough when you're starting to get into the numbers of clients that we've gotten to. So that's why I'm very excited for some help.
So I heard there's a initial challenges faced. There's this understanding I think this was very helpful. One of the expertise, I don't know what to build or how to build because I don't understand the patterns of problems that are there. So I need to just do a lot. And so that's a building of expertise, so you can create a process or a methodology.
Right.
You're going to say, here's what we solve, here's how we solve, here's why we solve. And I heard this third, as you're starting to get you said a bit like getting pricing and niche down. I'm going to ask that, go further there. How has it evolved since you started pricing and specifically niche, because that's how you start saying yes and no to things. And how did what you said yes to change over time, and how is pricing involved in that?
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So like even going pre business formation, right? The freelancing, that was all hourly. And I'm a proponent of, if you're doing something faster than other people, you shouldn't be getting paid less for it, right? Especially if you're doing it at the same quality, right? So we really started to come away from the hourly model entirely for a while, and just figuring out kind of more of a not 100% value-based approach, but more so towards that value-based approach, meaning, hey, what is the value that's coming out of this project, and let's price it at a percentage of that, right? So that was helpful in terms of growing revenues as well as just consolidating time, right? Because we can then charge X for project instead of X for Y number of hours, which if we can get the project done in less than what we would have charged the hours for, that frees up time for other things. In terms of pricing, and then in terms of niche, that was something that kind of just came to fruition through kind of coincidence in some ways, but just like what were the clients? Because at first, right, you're just taking every client that you can kind of take on to just pay bills and things like that, right? When you're freelancing, and it just so happened that the clients we were getting would then send referrals, and those referrals often tended to be in the same sorts of markets or adjacent markets, and that kind of ended up being, well, we have the most experience in these kind of types of organizations and types of companies, and there's some other things that align, right? Like they have budget to do projects, and they have the need to do projects, and they're busy people themselves, and not the types of clients that are going to kind of be need hands held for certain things, with nothing wrong with, but just trying to again make things more efficient. Kind of just fell into our lap, and that tended to end up being like B2B, definitely B2B, software companies, and then professional service companies, usually somewhere around like healthcare or adjacent, right? Like behavioral health sorts of things. And those are the problems we ended up seeing more and more of. And like we mentioned, kind of you get more efficient at those problems as they see them more and more. And that kind of ended up being a niche that we serve now.
What you just said was a lot of, you might not even realize it when I'm looking at it. Like, that's a lot of wisdom, only done through being in the trenches. And it was this: I started in hours because I had to. There's no other way. Like, I have to almost earn my experience through doing hours. Once I got faster at doing them, the hourly rate was no longer an accurate consumption of the value that I was driving. So I did value-based pricing. And now that I do value-based pricing, I start to scale a company. And because I know, people ask, how do I start to niche? You get one client, and then you niche in that industry that you get a client. Get a referral is how you start niching. And so you started getting adjacent industries and created a niche just through doing.
Right.
When you created it, you created a company that was bigger than yourself, that was bigger than ours. So I think this is beautiful. Like, we talk about it, but here it is.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if I just got lucky and the types of clients that we work with ended up working out long term. I don't know. I can't play it back, but yeah, that's really how it went. Just kind of like you said, getting in the trenches. And also, I don't want to it's not like I figured all this out myself either. Like, there's a lot of consumption of content of thought leaders in the space, right? I wasn't sure whether I wanted to scale or not, so I was consuming a lot of successful solo consultant content, through channels and platforms, and learned a lot about pricing and kind of just business models in general. So it certainly wasn't just like instantaneous thoughts or anything. There was certainly a lot of kind of help from thought leaders in the space as well, and kind of what we landed on.
I think that's helpful. It's one thing to do, but even when you have no time, you're still learning and not trying to repeat
100%.
mistakes of the past.
100%.
So as you go to that, what is you still probably made some mistakes. What as we all do. What is one thing you would never do again as you think about the past?
So I'll give you one kind of more hand wavy one, and then I'll give you one more kind of concrete one. So what I would never do again is I would never work with a client that I didn't think I would be excited about working with, or that wasn't a good fit just to bring revenue in. I think it ends up doing a lot much more harm than good. Whatever you're trying to hit, whatever stage you're in, if you're just trying to, make ends meet, totally understand that sometimes that's unavoidable, right? If you just need to pay your bills. But kind of as you grow and as you start to niche down, I think it just hurts a lot more than it helps, working with clients that you don't think would be a good fit. Whether that's like business wise, whether that is working relationship wise, any of the above. The other thing I would say in terms of actual more like business kind of concrete terms is I would never go into a project again without a clearly defined scope for what's going to be done and what is not going to be done, and what that means post project and what that means in the build up to that. That is also another surefire way to just get yourself completely underwater with what you're trying to do, especially where like at least I was at the point of doing that where like I didn't have payroll to make for employees, or I didn't those sorts of kind of responsibilities. It was just me, and I kind of dug my own grave, so I kind of dug myself out of it. But especially if you have people that you're paying and are on payroll, doing those sorts of projects is just, like I said, a surefire way to get yourself underwater. So those are two that hopefully I'll never make again.
So, and here to say is you are hiring, especially in professional services companies. You're there's a jive, there's a vibe. Like if you're going to work well with each other from the sales process. And there's a hiring and firing that goes from you with them. And it seems weird, but like you said, sometimes it's unavoidable to do it, but there is a level of maturity you go where you can just sense it. Number two is is have an end state that both people have agreed to at the start, or the end will get it'll get difficult to end. And they'll get difficult to end. And often ends poorly if you don't start with an end state.
Right. Yeah, 100%. You see a lot like exactly like you said there. If there's no set end state, to you or to the business, kind of ending things on what you think is fairly scoped, oftentimes looks to the customer like you're just trying to dip out early and kind of cut off communications, which, like you said, doesn't always make for a happy ending.
What's one thing you wish you would have done earlier?
The one thing I wish I would have done earlier, I wish I would have started building relationships with internal HubSpot team a little earlier, right? That's something that's really been helpful in terms of our growth, is just having kind of trusted partners on the HubSpot side, whether it's for whether it's for actual deals or whether it's just for kind of insights and thoughts. That is something that we only recently started doing, and that has been kind of a big gateway that's opened in terms of volume and projects.
And Logan, how did you make those relationships? Is this regionally specific? Is it functional specific? Is it via a community like Sparketeers or Hugs? Like, how did you do it?
Yeah, so it was pretty organic. When we would have like collab deals that we would source from leads, however they came in, the HubSpot reps that were working that deal inside of HubSpot, kind of just not be so focused on I guess selfish motives, right? Just say, hey, is there anything that reach out to them? Hey, is there anything that we can do to help you on this? Is there anything that you need from me? Is there any way that I can help you? Kind of just trying to add value there, and kind of just building those organically and not being focused on such self-directed motives. Whether it's just an email, whether it's hopping on a call, just aligning on things, because there are some collab deals where, I don't know, I'm kind of getting into the weeds here, but there are some collab deals where the partner has done, all of the legwork basically, and the rep just happens to be kind of on that deal. But then there are also deals where the rep has done a lot of legwork on that, and I want to be respectful of that and not just act like I'm just coming swooping in and taking their credits or work away. So just being respectful in that sense and building those relationships, and then that opens the doors to especially now as kind of HubSpot looks to kind of have more partners and looks to have partners on more and more deals as we're going forward. They have someone that they have worked with before that they know offers good work, and whether it's kind of expressed how hourly is expressed, right? Reps are not trying to have customers churn or have bad experiences either, because then that just poorly reflects on them. So having somebody that they can trust in a HubSpot partner, I think goes a long way.
I agree a lot with everything you've said. What's as we start to get to the end, what's the last question? What's your big bet for 2024? What's the thing you're betting big on to hit your 200K goal plus potentially more hires? What is the thing?
Yeah, so I think as HubSpot works up market, and I think as they bring in these new capabilities, like we just saw the public beta release of the sensitive information, kind of being able to be stored in HubSpot, and as customers get more and more technical with their needs, I think HubSpot onboarding is just not going to be the way that most HubSpot customers go, whether they're small business, whether they're mid-market, or whether they're enterprise. And I think HubSpot's on board with that too. It's like, hey, they want partners in the ecosystem to be able to provide these kind of high-touch technical services. And my big bet is that market is just going to keep getting bigger, along with HubSpot just going to keep getting bigger as they bring in these new product updates and as this kind of new generation of businesses comes into the market.
I think that's a good bet. As new generations of businesses, even their SMB, have more complicated needs. And number two, HubSpot can just do more with the companies they're working with.
Right.
We're sitting here in April 22nd. This is going to come out later, but we don't know what the big announcement is on the 24th. But there were maybe 6 very hot betas that have come out recently, which is like sensitive information. The betas on AI generated workflows, which will actually create more work for people, I think, not less, because they're going to want the human touch to be able to tell them what order. It's just going to create lots of very specific more and more technical consultants will be needed. Logan, I appreciate our time. If people want to find you, where's the best place for them to get you?
Yeah, so you can get me personally on LinkedIn, just Logan Armstrong. Feel free to follow our company page as well, but really I'm a bit more active on LinkedIn on my personal page, so happy to connect with anybody there. It's been toned down a little bit recently, just haven't had quite the time, but hopefully with the new hire coming on and growing the team, I'm able to get back to some more personal content creation. And I like all of that to be very kind of consultative and just educate as well. Let me empower you to show you how to do something inside of HubSpot that you might find helpful. So LinkedIn would probably be the best place for me.
Logan, appreciate you. Before we leave, last question. What does empty cup mean?
So empty cup means that I have a caffeine addiction, and that is also, I left that out of our tech stack at the beginning of the conversation. It was brain, Apple Notes, and exorbitant amounts of caffeine.
I love it. Well, Logan, appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Stay awesome. Keep doing it big.
Thanks, guys.
Super, everybody. Adios.